We'll go back into public session with the park board. I would like to start with, I would like to make a motion that the park board appoint Mr. Steve Masella as interim director effective June 1 at a salary level of $168,000 annually to serve in the interim role at least through the end of the year, or until we find, or through the end of the year. Or perhaps beyond. No shorter than the end of the year.
No promises.
No promises. So that's an official motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
There's a motion and second that we appoint Mr. Masella. All of those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Thank you. Well, I'd like to introduce Mr. Masella, who's here, just in case you haven't met or seen him. Welcome, Mr. Masella, and we look forward to having you join Park Board.
Thank you, and I'm really appreciative of the opportunity to be offered. I'm excited to get started. I'm here to do whatever you guys want to do.
And I thank you, Steve, very much. And for public reasons, as we've talked about at prior meetings, we have been blessed with Mr. John Nyer's long dedication to Cincinnati Parks. We are, as a board, though, committed to taking our time to make sure that we identify the absolute best candidate that we have for a permanent position. And Mr. Nyer is CEO of Nyer Management, a very large corporation here in Cincinnati, and we appreciate all the time that you've given to us, and hopefully, and appreciate that you will continue with us as a member of our recruiting search committee for the next director, and continue to appreciate your service on our investment committee. So thank you, John, for your time.
Delighted to be around in whatever capacity you might have me, and look forward to writing a smooth transition for Steve. It has been a enormous honor to work with. There's a tradition on your first day they ask you your favorite park, and I would broaden that to say what's your favorite asset in Cincinnati Parks, and that would clearly be the team that is Cincinnati Parks. All the land is lovely, the buildings are nice, but the team is what really makes the parks, and it's been a joy to work with this group. So thank you.
Well, and it's a luxury for us to say not goodbye, but thank you, and thank you for your dedication to continue in this process. So thank you very much. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to our chair, Molly.
Hey, Jim, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
This wasn't part of your motion, but could you just clarify when Steve is expected to start in his position?
Effective June 1.
That's fine. I just wanted that to be clear that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well,
Thank you, Kevin.
Steve. Thank you, John. All right. Well, on behalf of the selection committee, well, let me just walk through all the things that I just want to recap what's happening. So we can bring everybody up to speed on where we are and where I'll eventually get to, which is my proposal to the board on how we move forward and what next steps we'll take. So when we opened this search, we made the decision that we were going to open this search and see what kinds of interest we got, with an interest not only in parks professionals across the nation, but also leaders in the Cincinnati community that would have an interest in leading a significant organization such as the parks. A lot of our civic community is very engaged with the parks, and a lot of people, such as someone like John, have a deep understanding already of the parks and a real passion in continuing the great work of the parks. We've gotten a lot of great candidates. The first round of candidates that we got, I regret that I wasn't as forthcoming about why, the many reasons why we thought that it was an insufficient candidate pool. The reason is because the candidate pool of those that we thought were best qualified for the position really lacked diversity, lacked gender diversity, lacked racial diversity, and I was really hopeful that in this next round we could engage more diversity, and we have in some regards and not all that we would want. We do have a good list of candidates that are certainly, I'm excited about bringing in for a first round of interview. I can't say that we have the next Cincinnati Parks Director in there, but I'm hopeful that we will. We've identified people from other markets. We've identified local leaders. We've identified, or attracted, I should say, those with experience in government here, with experience leading or running nonprofits. And we've also attracted parks experts. So I am excited about the candidate pool. Though again, we have missed an opportunity to attract racial diversity to this role. And that's a great disappointment to me, and I know that I speak on behalf of the entire selection committee. What I'm going to do today is suggest that we proceed with first round interviews with several candidates. Again, there are a great number of people that have a lot of interest in this role, and we're excited to hear their proposal on what they would offer to this role. I want to ask if anybody printed out the list of questions that I proposed, because my computer battery is dead. And I might have it in my email. I wanted to read this off today. Do you have that, Tia? I don't mind. Oh, here we got it, Tia. Thank you. So I want to get to this in a moment. So I am going to propose several candidates. I'm also going to propose that we open the application again and express a desire on behalf of this park board to attract some more diversity to this role. And we will be casting our net in the community. Listen, could we rewind and hire a recruiter that would help us achieve all of our objectives? We would have done it. Here we are though at a point that we want to get a director in place. This team has been working and been successful despite having a permanent director in the school for about the last 6 months and maybe for the next 6 months. And I'm very dedicated to getting someone seated in this role. And when we find the best candidate, we will hire for that role. In the meantime, I want to make sure we can continue to attract people to this role. So that is my proposal here today. So I have 3 proposals. The first is that I would like to list the candidates that I would propose to bring in for first round interviews. I do intend to follow and do a little more research on some applicants that we have not enough information about for me to propose to add them to a list of the interviews. And then third, I would like to propose 6 questions that each of these candidates will be expected to respond to in the interview process, so we can create a kind of standard set of questions that everyone will have the opportunity to engage on. These are the candidates that I would like to propose. We invite to an interview. They have not accepted an interview, but then we would invite them. From the first round of candidates, that would be a person by the name of John Dargle, Bennett Knox, and from our most recent opening, several candidates for a first round: Jason Barron, Rhiannon Howeller, David Visman, Kelly Carr, and Lou Sands. So we would like to invite them in to hear how they would answer and address these 6 questions. Please bear with me. I'm going to read these. First is, please take a few minutes to tell us about your work history and what interests you about serving as the next director of Cincinnati Parks. Number 2, describe the leadership characteristics that you believe will make you most successful considering the various stakeholders of Cincinnati Parks. Number 3, please provide your thoughts on what the priorities of the Cincinnati Parks should be. Number 4, understanding that Cincinnati Parks have significantly more needs than the municipal budget can support, what are your thoughts on how Cincinnati Parks can improve the parks at a rate faster than maintenance needs present? Number 5, describe your experience developing and executing short and or long-term strategies involving many stakeholders and competing priorities. And number 6, what are the biggest challenges you see in this role and what will you need to address them? So clearly we are looking for someone with broad experience leading a complex organization that has many stakeholders and many functions within that organization and the leadership team to support. It's a big job, so it obviously takes a lot of passion for somebody that not only gets the work, but really wants to do it. So we're excited and hopeful about advancing to this first round. Again, we invite more candidates to apply to the role, and we will consider candidates until we are at a point to extend an offer. So again, I go back to my proposals on inviting the 7 candidates that I named and proposing those 6 standard questions. And also I would seek support in reopening the application.
And you make that as a motion, correct?
Those are my 3 motions.
Excellent.
Or standalone, we can stand those alone. And I also welcome comments from many of the commissioners. This is a lot to consider and a lot that we have considered individually as a commission.
I just want to say that I've been very pleased with the number of applicants that we've gotten, and I appreciate the role of the search committee going through all of those. And I agree with you that I think we need to continue to leave it open, just as we cast our net out and seek more diversity. But I just think you've done a great job here in identifying people that we should bring in for an interview and discuss with them. So I appreciate the work that we've all done collectively.
And I would just echo that. Thank you very much for the work that you've done. And I think we're at a good place in terms of moving forward. We're very clear about what it is we want to do moving forward, and get on with interviewing those candidates that have already been identified. I want to say thank you for your leadership in doing that. I do think it's important, as we are considering this most important role in parks, that we are broad in our casting of the net, because this is a critically important role, and we want to make sure we get it right. We want to take the time to do that. I want to also acknowledge staff and their input to us in terms of their perspective on the qualities we should be looking for. I think that was helpful input as you took the time to do that. And I hope that you can see in the questions that have been read here, that the kinds of things you suggested to us are embodied in those questions. So thank you all very much for those of you who took time to input to us for this process. We appreciate it.
I'm really excited to get going.
Right.
Cool, well, we have a motion on the floor. Let's take it as one motion. It's an omnibus motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Thank you, thank you.
Just one other thing I would say to the selection committee, we do have a time set. I think it's a 3-hour window on June 2nd. We'll be distributing some additional times to identify some 1-hour slots to speak with these initial candidates. There'll be a lot of time invested by the commissioners, and of course, a lot of time invested by the applicants. And we'll get to it. So look for those, and hopefully we can all attend.
Anything else? If not, we will stand adjourned at 12:24. Thank you all, and thank you.